Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Kevin Durant. In particular, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant and his ability to drive. We're going to discuss how he goes about choosing when to attack and how he goes about actually attacking. Let's go. The first way he goes about it is he understands the gravity he has as a shooter. So because he's a shooter, players are going to need to close out to him aggressively, and he goes about attacking this. So here we saw Beal essentially got a little advantage. Defense had to rotate over. You have Andrew Wiggins now has to guard two players. So when Andrew Wiggins has to close out here to KD, KD knows that he has to close out hard because KD can shoot the ball very well. So KD uses his momentum and uses that to attack, going the opposite direction, going downhill while Andrew's trying to close out, and that gives him the edge, and then he uses length to get to the rim efficiently. And the beautiful thing is KD's expanded his game where he doesn't need much space to really get this off. And so here we can see Ball essentially follows the ball, ironically, a little bit too far. And so when he goes to recognize that KD is the threat, he's going to close out to here, assuming KD could rise up and shoot. However, KD's already in his mind, he's decided that he's going to drive. And so instead of even going for the pump fake or anything like that, he's already got his feet in a position where he can attack downhill. And because of that, Ball has to use his body to get in the way and draws the contact, and KD finishes through the contact as well. Again, KD plays on here a concept that defenders are taught from a young age. I think correctly taught from a young age too, but he still plays on that. So here, when Kobe White, who isn't even that far, is going to go to close out here, he's going to jump to the inside a little bit, and the idea of this is to make sure that KD can't cut in front of him, make sure you have more pack line defenses. There's a lot of reasons for that. However, KD is going to play on this, so that slight jump right there, KD's going to take it and use that momentum to now attack where he has the edge, where he's a little bit on the outside of Kobe White, and so that gives him a slight bit of leverage. And because KD has such an ability to rise up aggressively and to shoot so efficiently, all he needs is a little bit of space. And so one thing I love right there is when he left his feet right there, he's going to land on 2 feet right now. And so him landing on 2 feet gives him so much more mobility, pass to shoot or to find whatever the ideal opening in that situation is. He's able to pivot back and create that gap, that distance that gives him the lethal edge. And then we get to the most nuanced of attacking the closeout, and this is probably the most impressive. So first off, we saw Obi Toppin essentially was shaded a little bit to the wrong side of the screen. And so because Kevin, ghosted it or slightly screened, he's going to have just a little bit of gap. And so Obi Toppin, again, knows that Kevin is a great shooter, so he's going to have to close out aggressively. And Kevin essentially knows this and plays on his momentum. So Obi is closing out this way. Kevin's going to go back this way, and something I like to talk about is attacking the high leg. He's going to attack the high leg and use momentum of Obi going both directions to ultimately get that slight edge. So again, Obi went back this way to prevent the drive going to the right hand, but then it's like Kevin's a good shooter, so I got to close out hard again. And so Kevin again plays on that high leg and uses momentum against him to get deep into the paint, and that's a dangerous shot to give up to KD. And then we get to more examples of working one-on-one in particular. And so one thing Kevin does that I like a lot is he removes the contact. So anytime a defender is either essentially making contact with the body or contact with the hand to the body, Kevin does a great job of using that leverage to get the momentum of the defender going the other way while he tries to attack downhill. And the first step of that is you got to find a way to get rid of it. With his outside hand, he very often, right there, you can see he shucks that hand off and uses that to create a little bit of leverage. And then this inside hand is going to the hip, essentially, of the defender to make sure you have room and space to create just a little bit of leverage on the inside. Defenders are very often taught to initiate contact right away because it gives you, essentially, you're more on balance. You're able to read where the offensive player is going. But so good players like Kevin will essentially wait for this contact and use it against you because you're reaching out, you're slightly leaning forward to try and initiate, and you're going to use that momentum going the other way. Again, clears off the hand with his outside hand and then uses that to create just that little bit of edge. And again, that little bit of edge is all you need when you're as talented as Kevin Durant is. I'll include this in the same example. Although Oubre isn't necessarily reaching out to try and get a piece of Kevin Durant, trying to hit Kevin Durant, he is reaching out for the ball. So first off, we can see that Oubre is extremely close to Kevin Durant. And again, you can use this to your advantage if you're on offense. Oubre is going to gamble a little bit, and that's all that Kevin's looking for. Looking for that slight gamble, and then he swings to the opposite side to make sure he gets that slight edge, uses the momentum of Oubre against him, and gets to the rim. And the third area we get to is Kevin's an extremely cerebral player. Now, we didn't see this in the Suns very much simply because they have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal as well. But if he had a mismatch on him, like a post was guarding him, he would 100% use his athletic ability to blow by them. While he's definitely not the most explosive player in the NBA, he still has like very, very good athletic ability, and he's so long that it compensates for a lot as well. So again, we see mismatch where the post is guarding him, and he's going to look to attack this simply side to side, and you can see the post is unable to stay with him, not even remotely. And then finally, we get to usage of the screen. Again, we didn't see this much with the Suns simply because you have Booker and Beal. However, if defense makes a mistake on the screen, so here we can see Randall's going to aggressively go to the side, KD possesses the ability to cross back over, and without a defender in front of you, it's going to be tough to stop Kevin Durant. And though this one doesn't end up in a super deep drive, I'll include it because he still uses the screen to maintain the advantage. So first off, we can see the screen there. Defender gets caught a little bit behind him, so KD uses his body to shield him to make sure he has the inside edge. And while the defender's trying to get around him to negate that inside edge, Kevin uses that to create just a little bit of separation and rise up for what is a very effective shot for Kevin Durant. So in conclusion, Kevin Durant uses all his tools to essentially get to the rim very effectively. He plays off the idea that defenders need to close out aggressively because he's such a good shooter, and he uses the defender's momentum against them not only when they close out, but also when they're guarding him one-on-one. He uses the contact to try and get rid of the contact and make sure their momentum is going the opposite direction he is to get to the rim. Also, when given a mismatch, he'll take advantage of it every single opportunity, whether that be size, whether that be athletic ability, whatever it is. He looks to exploit those mismatches. And finally, when you make a mistake on the screen, go around it, get caught on it, he will also punish you. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe, but most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.